This is the 2013 Chrysler 300 SRT8. This one is separated from the other Chrysler 300s by what's under the hood. The base engine in the 300 series is a 3.6 liter V6, putting out just under 300 horsepower, getting 19 to 31 to the gallon. Performance of that engine is pretty good, reaching 0 to 60 in just under 7 seconds. I've driven several of those and was very impressed. Next up is the 5.7 Hemi, putting out around 340 to 360 horsepower depending on what magazine you read. Gets 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds. Gas mileage is 16 to 25. But this is the King Monster 6.4 Hemi, putting out 470 horsepower, 470 foot-pounds of torque. Gas mileage is around 15 to 23 on the stickers these come with. I haven't taken the mileage on this yet. It's a real screamer, getting 0 to 60 in approximately 4.8 seconds if you're pretty good on the throttle. I think everyone in the business knows that the best V8 on the market is a Chevrolet small block V8, but I would have to say the 6.4 Hemi is certainly a close second. This is a very impressive engine. Too bad it only comes with a 5-speed automatic. It's really great if you get the 8-speed automatic that you can get in the V6 engines. One of the biggest gripes of Chrysler products in the past 4 decades has been the quality of the interiors. Basically, they were just downright shoddy, with lousy materials, lousy workmanship, and parts that always fell off when the warranty went out. However, in the past couple of years, Chrysler's really put forth a good effort in upgrading their cabins, and they've done so in the 300 series. On the SRT even more so, because the SRT comes loaded with about every gimmick and gadget you can think of. And I really couldn't find too much wrong here, aside from one item which I'll mention later. The steering wheel controls are very easy to use. The gauges are easy to read. I really like this here. The SRT comes with a performance computer. Shows your quarter-mile times, your 0 to 60 times. My best time on this says a 0 to 60 time of 4.9 seconds. That must have been the other guy. Got a nice glove box. The SRT leather cloth seats are really fancy, very comfortable once you get used to them. Up ahead, this giant panorama sunroof. Good thing this is winter time. On a hot Arizona day at 128 degrees in the shade, this might not go over too well. The only complaint I had with the interior had to do with the mirror. It's an auto-dimming mirror, has no disconnect switch. That means you're driving in heavy night city traffic and want to change lanes, your mirrors are blacked out and it's hard to see the vehicle next to you. Not exactly an ideal situation. You can solve that by putting a piece of tape over the sensor hole, which is what I always do. Overall, the interior is a good thumbs up. The SRT steering has little feedback, but it is quick and responsive, so I'm not complaining because it goes where you plan it. The suspension jumps around a bit on lumpy pavement, but it stays planted to the road, which is what counts. Cornering ability on tight roads is pretty good. And the brakes are very responsive. And of course we have that great power. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. You may have noticed we were doing our night driving on those tight, twisty roads. The camera was shaking quite a bit. 2 reasons for that. Number 1, the road's pretty rough. Secondly, the SRT has a special suspension. For normal driving, it has an automatic damping system. which provides a nice balance between ride and handling. But there's also a manual override system on the computer. All you do is press the SRT performance buttons. Then you have a sport and track mode. That beefs up the shocks. It also beefs up the transmit shift points. And that's why we had a bit of jarring on those back roads. And also why the car stuck to the road pretty well. But it was pretty comfortable nevertheless. Overall, there's really no complaints about this system. It works pretty well once you learn how to use it. The only complaint we had here concerned this little SRT emblem on the rear, 1 inch by 6 inch. Amazingly, this is the only item on the body that identifies this car as an SRT8. That plus a little marking on the wide wheels. Otherwise, not only are there no SRT markings, but there's no markings at all to show that this is a V8 car. So to the onlooker, even though it's a nice looking machine, it could just as well be a V6 car with wide wheels and a bit of bodywork. Frankly, if I'm going to spend around $58,000 for this car, I think I want people to know I'm driving an SRT. And a lot of people that looked at this, even though they agreed it was a nice looking car, thought they should have more emblems on it. Maybe on the grille, maybe on the hood. Apparently Chrysler isn't doing this. So if you're driving one of these, you want people to know you're hauling around, you're going to put the SRT emblems on yourself. In the end though, this is really a fantastic car to drive. If you can afford it, you'll be happy with it. With emblems or without.